And I'm recording this session right now. And I'm going to share the screen and show you my Google Slides presentation. Let's just get this up and running. Whoops. And if anyone cannot hear me or cannot see my screen, just please let me know. The best way to do that would be to turn on your microphone and just let me know.
You're very quiet.
Very quiet. All right. Hold on a second. Let me see if I can turn up my microphone. Okay. Is that any better?
Yes.
Much better. Yes, thank you.
Is that better? Okay.
Yes.
Great. Okay, thanks for letting me know. Okay. All right. Okay, as I mentioned before, my name is Adam Krass. I'm an assistive technology consultant based in northern New Jersey. And we're going to talk about introduction to the Xbox Adaptive Controller, which came out about a year and a half ago. And it's an excellent way for students that use switches or people who have physical disabilities to play Xbox games, either on their own or with a partner. And first of all, just a little bit about myself. I'm an assistive technology consultant. I work with children and adults with disabilities, providing evaluations, training, ongoing support, webinars, customization, etc. My primary area of work is in northern New Jersey and New York City area, and I work in all phases of assistive technology. I just want to let all of you know that during the coronavirus pandemic, I'm offering free 30-minute assistive technology consultations or sessions for anyone with a disability, children or adult. And just send me an email at adam@adamkrassconsulting.com. I will be happy to set up a time to have that consultation with you via Skype or Zoom or Meet or FaceTime or whatever method works for you. We can set that up. So what is the Xbox Adaptive Controller? It is a Xbox controller that has large buttons as well as switch jacks where you can plug a switch in to emulate any of the functions of a standard Xbox controller. So for instance, these two large buttons are the A and the B button on a standard controller. And then as we'll take a look later, there's a lot of switch jacks on the back that replicate the different functions of the Xbox controller. Okay, if someone has their microphone on, if you could please turn that off, that would be appreciated. Thank you. And here's a picture of one user using the Xbox Adaptive Controller. The controller is here. Excuse me, this individual has a number of different switches. He's got 5 or 6 switches down here. And then he has 2 adapted joysticks. He also has a switch up here next to his left cheek. And if you see all the switches that are plugged into the back of the adaptive controller. And here's all the switch jacks down here. And they have little labels for what each one does, but these can also be reprogrammed if you need to. And if someone else can mute their microphone, we appreciate it. Thank you. Okay. And here's a little bit better picture of the Xbox Adaptive Controller showing the different functions. These are your up, down, right, left, and these are more functions in the back. Can that person please mute your microphone? Thank you. CoPilot mode is one of the great things about the Xbox Adaptive Controller. It allows you to play in a team with one other person, or actually more than one other person, where you split up the functions among 2 or more people. If you've ever played an Xbox game or other video game, you know that especially with the more advanced games, they've got a lot of functions. So there might be 7 or 8 different functions that you need to use during that game. And if you're a switch user, maybe you can only control one switch. If you're using, if you have 2 switches, you might be able to control 2 functions. Whoops. And the point of the CoPilot mode is someone else using a regular standard controller or another Xbox Adaptive Controller can split up those functions so you work as a team. And this is a really great feature because not everyone can operate all the different functions that you need to do, that you need to access in order to play a particular Xbox game. Now here's some links for more information. Microsoft has done a really great job of providing online resources, both in terms of how-to manuals, videos, instructions, etc., about general information about the Xbox, accessible gaming in general, getting to know the Xbox Adaptive Controller, using the CoPilot mode, and connecting an Xbox adapter to Xbox One console. And that's another thing I did want to talk about, is that for the most part, Xbox is played with a game console, which looks like a little desktop computer without a monitor. You plug your monitor into it, and you either download your games from the online game Xbox store, or if you have a CD drive on your Xbox controller, you load the games in from the CD. Now, Xbox One games can also be played on a computer, which is what we're going to be doing a little bit later. It's a little temperamental working on a computer, so I recommend using the Xbox One console. The games seem to run a lot better with that. Now I'm just going to pause the presentation for a minute because I want to show you some interesting accessories that you can also purchase with the Xbox Adaptive Controller. So I'm just going to exit this just for 1 minute and stop sharing. And I just want to show you a few. Okay. I'm going to show you a nice kit that Logitech makes. It's called the Logitech Adaptive Gaming Kit. And the thing that I like about this is if you don't know anything about switches, or the person that you're working with knows nothing about switches, You can get this kit. It's for under $100, and you're going to be set up with a whole lot of switches and switch holders that are going to help you get started with Xbox adaptive control. Now, if you already have your own switches, let's say like if you have a Jelly Bean switch or a spec switch, or you're already using a switch, then you might not need this kit. But if you want to get started with switches, this kit is a really nice way to go. You get about over 10 switches for about $100. It's a really good, I think it's a very good value. And they have regular round pad switches, smaller switches, some nice light touch switches. And then they have a switch, which I've never seen before. It's actually pretty cool. It's like a gas pedal. So it's a variable output switch. The more I push it down, the faster I go. And this is great for games where it involves driving a car, driving a motorcycle, racing, etc., or where you want to vary the speed. That's a really nice switch. Then they have these nice Velcro pads that you can put your switch on. It Velcros on, and it just keeps it in place a little bit. They also give you a bunch of different stickers to put on your switches so you can mark them, and all different kinds of Velcro. So it's a nice little kit. But again, you know, if you already have your switches, then you're doing okay. Just one more time, can everyone please mute your microphone? Okay, great, thank you. So at this point, I want to talk about the game. I'm going to go back to sharing. And then we're going to present and present. Okay, so the game that we're going to be playing today, and I'm in a few minutes, Joel is going to come over here and help me out. The game is called Super Lucky's Tale. It's a kid's game. Lucky goes on a quest searching for a magic book. And I chose this game because it's good for kids and I can show it to anyone. Unlike a lot of Xbox games, which are, you know, there's a lot of violence, etc. in many Xbox games. But also it's a relatively simple game. Over here is our game controls. And we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 controls, which for a video game is relatively modest number. And the function that I'm going to set up with the adaptive controller today is the borrow function, which over here it shows the RT. And the RT is this little button back here. Okay, you usually control it with your finger, your forefinger. But for today, we're going to set that up where you see down here it says RT. So if I plug a switch into that jack, which is here, whoops, and here's my switch that I've plugged into it. I'm going to be able to control that function with my switch, and Joel is going to operate the other functions with the standard Xbox controller. And let's see it in action. So Joel, if you could come on over. I'm going to, whoops, exit this. Let's see if we can bring up the game. Whoops. Sorry about that. That's probably really loud for you. Okay, and let me just turn this around. Say hi, Joel.
Hey.
Okay. So. Okay, so let's resume the game. Okay, can everyone see the game? Can anyone not see the game? Okay, so my switch burrows, which means he goes underground. What are we doing? Searching for the book?
I don't know what it's good.
So if I try to burrow when I'm not in the ground, he does a backflip. Ooh, that hurt. Ooh, that was a bad idea. And so on. I think the purpose of this game is to find this magic book and rescue Lucky's sister. And it goes on like that. Okay, great.
Okay.
Thank you, Joel. Put that on pause. Okay. Now, there is a very short survey. For those of you who have 3 minutes after the presentation, if you wouldn't mind taking the survey on the link, that would be greatly appreciated. This presentation is a part of a grant that I'm working on with the Assistive Technology Advocacy Center at Disability Rights New Jersey. And if you wouldn't mind telling me how you, what you thought of the presentation today, that would be greatly appreciated. And here's all my contact information. I also wanted to point out that in the schedule for today, there is a session notes associated with today's session. And if you open up that session notes document, you'll have all my contact information, the link to the survey. I see many of you have put your name in. Thank you very much. And then there's a whole resource, a list of resources. Get to know the adaptive Xbox controller. And then it has a get started guide that I copied and pasted right into the document, which should help you get started with the Xbox adaptive controller. Now, we've got about 3 minutes, so I'm happy to take any kind of questions or comments that you have, or anything, whether you've tried the Xbox adaptive controller and what your experiences have been, or questions about how to get started with this. So the best thing to do is just to unmute your microphone. I will also open up the chat. And let's see.
I had asked on the chat there, if you're using the Xbox adaptive controller, can you still share functions with somebody who's using a standard controller?
Yes. So for instance, in the game we were just doing, I was doing the burrow. Well, that function also works at the same time on the standard controller. So we could both actually control that same function. Did that answer your question?
I think so, but you had a strip that you plugged a switch in that controlled the burrow, but you could have controlled it with one of the features on the Xbox adaptive controller instead?
Well, the burrow feature, I was controlling it with a switch that was plugged into the Xbox adaptive controller.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Gotcha.
And that feature also was still active on the standard controller as well.
Perfect.
Let's see. Sid said, we purchased an Xbox adaptive controller early on. It was difficult to set up since there was literally no instructions, including the box. Has the setup become easier? Well, Sid, in terms of the instructions that come with it, they're pretty paltry, as many technologies are these days. So I had to go online and download and read the startup guides, etc. That's why I tried to put them all together into one document for you and to give you an introduction. So if you are still having a problem with that, I'd be happy to get you set up and running. If you send me an email, I'd be happy to set up a Zoom or FaceTime session with you and see if I can get you up and running. The other thing that you can always try is the Microsoft Store. And the Microsoft Store, your local Microsoft Store should have someone that knows how to set up the Xbox Adaptive Controller, or they should know someone that they can connect you with to walk you through that process. Anyone else have experiences using the Xbox Adaptive Controller that they'd like to share with the group? Okay, the Ultra Stick, is
Yeah,
that the
I've used it with a, I was just going to say, I've used it with a student before, but I didn't realize that we could split the functionality of it, and that will make the world a difference for him.
Yes. Now, the important thing is this Sandy again?
Yes, yep.
Sandy, if you're using the console, you do have to turn on the CoPilot mode.
Perfect. I will do that.
Okay, great. And Sid had another question. Is the Ultra Stick the simplest joystick to use with the Xbox Adaptive Controller now? I don't know. I don't know, but if you'd like, I could look into that a little bit more. And if you send me an email, I'll be happy to look into that question for you, and I could get back to you, excuse me, with an answer later on. You're welcome. So if you try this later on and you want to let me know how it went, I'm always looking to find out how other people are doing with this. The other thing I'm also always interested in is access methods for other games, like the PlayStation games. They have different types of controllers, so and there's a couple of them out on the market. So if you have experience with any of them and be happy and would be willing to share that with me, that would be great. So thanks very much, everyone. I'm really glad that you could make it today. And if you have 3 minutes, please take the short survey for today's presentation. Thanks very much, and enjoy the rest of your day. I'll stay on for a few more minutes if anyone else has questions. Okay, I'm signing off. Everyone have a good day. And if you have questions afterwards, please send me an email or give me a call. Thanks.